I think it's possible that you and your father have a very specific dynamic. I don't think it's one that rewards emotion or vulnerability. I think it may punish them. I think it's possible that dynamic eroded your marriage and is infecting your kids with a tendency to misdirect their feelings.
You.
Mom!
Both of you two.
More and more, it seems like Rick and Morty is a show about a family's dysfunction that just happens to have sci-fi subplots. I think eventually this is going to lead to Morty and Summer trying to separate Rick and Beth because their relationship is unhealthy as Before we get into this, I'm going to go over some of the corrections from last week's episode at the end of this video, so thanks for tweeting those at me, at Buddy Hutton, and be sure to subscribe to Universe for more Rick and Morty. I have another video coming out this week about how the show's creators feel about existence and how that slips into the show. Now let's break down Rick and Morty, Season 3, Episode 3, Pickle Rick! So I'm going to break this down character by character for this episode, so we'll see how that goes, and maybe we'll change it for next episode. We're going to start with Pickle Rick, because that's the name of the episode.
The reason anyone would do this, if they could, which they can't, would be because they could, which they can't.
This is the Rickest line ever. He does stuff because he can do it, and other people can't do it. That's so Rick. Most of us saw the rat fight sequence in the promos, but let's quickly summarize what Rick did in this episode before we break it down, because it's amazing. Rick turns himself into a pickle as an elaborate excuse to get out of therapy. He gets knocked into a sewer by a viral cat video. The cat is named Izzy, and I don't remember ever seeing it before, but he knows who the cat is. He kills cockroaches and uses their corpses to create his first mech, which he uses tongue to brain pressure plates to control. Then later, with rat corpses, he uses a direct link to his pickle brain like Exo Squad. He does sweet parkour.
Get that parkour! Get that parkour!
He builds a jetpack. He creates office supply traps like this pencil punji stick pitfall trap. That was a tongue twister. A battery-operated laser cannon and multiple bombs.
You're an intelligent pickle. We can do business.
He kills 35 people in an embassy complex after becoming a legend called Solenia.
Some of my men are calling you Solenia, the Pickle Man, an old wives' tale.
And still manages to make it to therapy in time to ruin anything his daughter might have gotten out of it.
Because I don't respect therapy, because I'm a scientist.
My favorite line of Morty's in this episode is Morty asking if Rick is gonna fart on him, because Rick loves fart jokes.
Are you invisible and you're gonna fart on me? Flip the pickle over.
So the whole Solenia thing is a play on John Wick's Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga means boogeyman in Russian. Solenia means pickles in Russian. So not quite the same impact there, but they both kill people with pencils. The whole sequence of Rick building a mech in a cave or sewer is a loose homage to Iron Man building the Mark I suit in the cave. They have the same wrist weapons, and at the end he even uses a jetpack to get out of the situation. It's pretty obvious that it's an homage to Iron Man. Now let's talk about some of those Pickle Rick action sequences. First of all, where are they that there's so many explosives laying around?
Who in the toilet is this?
The Russian embassy or whatever is filled with Russian henchmen, but the boss guy speaks with like a kind of Englishy accent.
What is it?
Halfway through murdering everybody, Rick flips past a bunch of humanizing elements of the Russians he's murdering. Like here's a picture of the Russian henchmen smiling together and a note that says, "Yuri, call your mom." When he's fighting Jagwire, he is using a hamburger and condiments to patch his wound, which is mirrored by the exact copy of a Rambo scene by Jagwire. It's awesome. The craziest thing Pickle Rick did was definitely moving the bottle from the trash into the recycling bin. That's a sick burn. I live in San Francisco, man. If your neighbor's doing that, that's bad. There have been 3 9/11 references by Rick so far.
I turned myself into a pickle and 9/11 was an inside job? Was it? Who cares, Morty? We're gonna 9/11 it unless Morty Smith gets better grades in math. Hey, I said nobody move, buddy. An excuse to strip away our freedom.
Confirmed conspiracy theorist.
Did you do this on purpose to get out of family counseling?
Morty!
It's apparent that Beth is her father's child. Not that they're the same, but Beth has a really complex disorder, which is like a big fear of losing him again. Where Rick is an egotistical, suicidal maniac who's at the whim of his own genius, Beth condones and enables Rick's behavior despite knowing that Rick has a compulsive need to just avoid mediocrity. Beth does anything that she can to avoid real facts about her father, even at the detriment of her own children.
Well, Dr. Wong, by the way, racist name, obviously Morty and Summer are seizing on your arbitrary pickle obsession as an end run around what was supposed to be their therapy.
Dr. Wong was voiced by the legendary Susan Sarandon. She's a doctor of family therapy and corpophagia. Corpophagia is derived from the Greek korpos, which is feces, and phagion, which means to eat. It's pretty common for therapists to specialize in more than one thing. I personally have been to a family therapist who also did drug addiction. I was there for family therapy, not for drug addiction. I wouldn't get therapy for that. I love that Dr. Wong believed that Rick was a pickle, like, immediately. Instead of taking time to analyze if the family was crazy or lying about their grandfather being a pickle, she just immediately accepts it and is completely unfazed when Rick walks in as a rat mech pickle thing.
You must be Rick. Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot about you today.
She has a great monologue that sums up a lot of the contradictory ways Rick has been portrayed in the show. Despite being attacked by Rick immediately after this, she stays calm and asks everyone to come back. She's a great example of what a therapist is.
I'm going to give you guys my card and hope to hear from you again. And if you have any friends or family that eat poop and would like to stop, give them my number.
Speaking of poop, let's get into Goldenfold.
You're patients of Dr. Wong, too?
Temporarily, by order of the school.
Me, too. How long have you all been eating poop?
We have never eaten poop.
Me neither.
This line is kind of subtle, but he's like, me too. The school knows that I eat poop and they made me come to therapy for it. It's amazing. A lot of people actually thought that the poop eating might have been incepted into Goldenfold's head in the Lawnmower Dog episode from season 1.
Out of all the things that happened to you, that was the only real thing that, is that you crapped your pants. I mean, it's a mess out there. I got some on my hands, Morty, and then I got it on the Dream Inceptor, and a piece fell in my mouth.
But I watched that part of the episode, and actually, Rick and Morty are in Snowball's head when they talk about poop going into Rick's mouth. So it wasn't in Goldenfold's dream, it was in Snowball's dream. Turns out that Goldenfold just likes eating poop, apparently. Speaking of Snuffles, there's a picture of him over the Smith's toilet in the bathroom in this episode. I haven't seen that before. In this episode, Morty and Summer are just teenagers acting out after their parents get divorced, and they watch their god of a grandfather destroy their mother as well as himself. Classic. Danny Trejo voices Jagwire, a Russian operative with amazing flexibility and a Mexican-American accent.
Where is this pickle?
He's a grizzled action hero fighting for his daughter Katerina's life. There's a scene in the helicopter that Rick could totally help Jagwire find another daughter, but he just can't be bothered. In the post-credits scene, Rick and Morty are trapped on a giant piano in a piano-styled room by a man named Concerto who's playing a piano, and he's made out of piano pieces with keys for teeth. The piece that he's playing is Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata.
Jeez, Rick, I don't want to die.
And now, for the E-Splat!
It kind of seemed like it should have been a different episode altogether until Jagwire showed up and killed Concerto. Okay, let's get into corrections from last week. Thank you guys again for sending them in. Always do this. If I mess something up, call me out, please, because, I want to know this stuff as much as you guys do. First off, I know that the episode didn't take place thousands of years ago. Sorry for saying that. It just kind of slipped in and made it through QA. Like 3 of us watched it, and all of us know that it's not thousands of years in the future. It's an alternate reality that's probably, slightly different time, not thousands of years in the future. But to be honest, Portland was really messed up, and they were speaking like Cloud Atlas, and Cloud Atlas takes place thousands of years in a distant future, so whatever, my mistake. The guy wearing the Darth Vader helmet, I realized that it was a World War I German helmet and a gas mask, but together the effect looks like Darth Vader. The David Bowie face paint guy was supposed to be a different shot. There is a guy in the episode that is wearing Ziggy Stardust paint. It was an editing error. This guy was Wes, not Bear Claw. I know I said Bear Claw. Bear Claw was the stunt supervisor for Mad Max, but he uses Wes's picture, so I was confused. Another thing I missed was Summer's Mike Tyson tattoo on her eye, that the town looked like a Fallout 4 town, and the Hello Kitty underwear. Also, the Vape Nation logo in the far left of this frame. Justin Roiland and Ethan Klein are known to be good friends, so of course there's a Vape Nation logo in the last episode. And then you guys found this. The 826 from Jerry's hotel room is actually a direct correlation to the ticket from Jerry Daycare. Jerry Daycare's ticket was 115126. So if you add 1 and 1 and 5 and 1, that's 8. And the room number is 826. That's crazy. Answer to last week's question of what's the license plate on this guy's arm? You guys answered overwhelmingly with 507 WSP is 507 Washington State Police. The question for this week is I want to know what action movie references you guys saw that made up Jagwire. I personally thought he had a little bit of like the Boondock Saints dad in there, and also inspirations from Taken with the daughter thing. But what do you guys think? I mean, I'm sure that there was so many more thrown in. If you guys have any suggestions on how we can cover this better, let me know on Twitter at Buddy Hutton. And for more Rick and Morty, Game of Thrones, Twin Peaks, Preacher, a whole bunch of other show coverage, be sure to subscribe to GameSpot Universe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you.